Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, John and Lee proudly present the greatest wrestling show ever!
Hey guys, welcome to episode 10 of the greatest wrestling show ever with myself, John and Lee. And we're into what many, and when I say many, I mean no one, call the greatest wrestling match of all time. It's in by Lee's absolute... He's a big Ric Flair fan, and apparently Ric Flair's best match is Money in the Bank from Wrestlemania 22. Is that right, Lee?
Well, it's half right. Yeah, I'm a massive Ric Flair fan. No secret, he's my favourite wrestler of all time. I think he sort of encapsulates everything that is a WWE superstar. It's not the best match of all time, obviously.
I'm
But
just going to rewind a fraction there. Does he encapsulate everything that's a WWE superstar? To my mind, he encapsulates everything that's a NWA and WCW superstar.
sorry, a wrestling superstar.
Yeah, he's not quite. I think if he'd have just gone straight to WWE, let's say fast forward 1981 Ric Flair that first won the NWA World Title, stick him in modern day WWE or any era, or in a modern era WWE, I'm not sure he'd actually do all that well.
I don't agree with that.
Well, I don't think he'd do as well as he has. I think his success in WWE is off the back of his success in NWA, WCW.
Yeah, but the fact that he was so famous in the WWF at the time community long before he even made it that far. Obviously, we knew of a few others at the time, Sting and Lex Luger and that, but Ric Flair, everyone was desperate for Ric Flair to join the WWF, and I think that says a lot. Considering who was around at the time as well.
Ric Flair coming in late 1991 as the real world's champion is slightly before my time, so I didn't see that live. Now, was the average 10, 11-year-old WWF fan like yourself, they were aware of Ric Flair, were they, and keen for him to come in?
I don't know. I wouldn't say, especially in England, I wouldn't say the average fan was like myself. But I generally kept an eye because I had the magazines and general, wrestling magazines. So I kept an eye on what was going on in WCW. I had figures. I already had some WCW wrestling figures, of which Ric Flair was one. And just looking back at the time, it seems that he was already quite a big name long before he got to WWF.
Definitely. He was probably the non-WWF name at the time. So what magazines would they have been you were reading back then, like Pro Wrestling Illustrated, something like that?
Yeah, I think there was there's the one that you've got tons of.
Power
I've seen that one before, but
there's one that preceded it. It started in 92, so it wouldn't have been that.
There's one that I remember. I can't remember the name, and I should have kept them. They might still exist somewhere, but I can never remember the name. Well, the only thing I remember about them was they were on really crap quality paper.
Yeah,
I'd get them from they were in the newsagents. I think I bought one once, and then she'd always buy them in for me. But I just remember they were really poor quality made.
I'm thinking that the only magazine that you've managed to keep from the 1990s is the copy of Playgirl with Shawn Michaels in.
It's just the centerfold's missing on that one.
Right, let's get into it anyway. So we're WrestleMania 22, April 2nd, 2006. It's the straight into the Money in the Bank chapter. It's 21 minutes 55, and that's not the longest match, and there's several superstars to discuss in it, so we may end up running over the end of it a little bit. But if anyone is watching, start of that chapter, 21 minutes 55 seconds, pressing play in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so
just go back a second. The point there was I was insistent on getting Ric Flair in, and obviously, but he didn't have that many great matches in WWF that weren't, for example, title matches, which we've already got covered.
Well, to be honest, I don't know how many actually great matches he had in WWEF full stop. The vast majority of his quality work was in the 80s in NWA. By the time he hits WWE in 91, 92, he's still a top-flight superstar, but possibly the 1992 Rumble is his only particularly great match.
That's definitely the highlight of his WWF tenure, yeah, for me, anyway.
And then it's obviously only around for about a year and a half. He loses a loser leaves town match to Mr. Perfect on, I think it was the first episode of Raw in February 93. Goes back to WCW as it is by then. Doesn't return to WWE until late 2001, the night after Survivor Series, by which point he must be 52 years old. And whilst still very capable for that age, is not having any classic matches at that point, from my recollection.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's more about who he is for me rather than.
Of course, definitely, yeah. So we've got a Money in the Bank match in, and it's probably going to be all right, I should imagine. So we've had Matt Hardy come in so far, Shelton Benjamin and Finlay is coming down now. Now, only the other day, I saw that Matt Hardy injury from AEW from September. I don't know if you've seen this at all.
No.
So Matt Hardy's wrestling against a young guy called Sammy Guevara, who's about, 25, 26, something like that. And they climb up. It's some sort of extreme rules type match. They climb up. I don't know what it is. It's some sort of thing that you would use, a bit like a cherry picker almost, but slightly different. And Sammy Guevara gives Matt Hardy a spear off it. So you maybe 8-10 foot in the air, ideally going through a pair of tables, but they overshoot a little bit, catch the second table, but Matt Hardy hits his head on the concrete as they land, knocking him clean out. He actually looks like he's dead. There's just no response. He's just lying there. Referee checks him. They try to continue the match, which to me straight away should have been called off immediately. He's clearly knocked out. They try to continue the match. Matt Hardy's stumbling around like Bambi on ice. His legs are completely gone. Referee does call off the match at that point, which is a sensible decision. Cut to the commentators. You've got Jim Ross, Excalibur, whoever else was there, and they're trying to buy time because obviously the next match isn't quite ready to go yet because they were expecting maybe another 10 minutes or so till it was their turn. And then all of a sudden, Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy reappear. So they restart the match, having it already been stopped. Only 3-4 minutes earlier, Matt Hardy's lying unconscious on the concrete floor. And they pretty much go straight to the originally planned finish of the match where they climb another high thing. I forget what it was now. And Matt throws Sammy Guevara off it. But to me, that's madness. You're letting someone who's been knocked out plus only minutes before climb another high thing.
So when was this?
Early September, the AEW pay-per-view. I forget what it was called. I'd completely missed it at the time, but I read something about it and went and watched it on YouTube. Have a look later. It's quite, if you were watching it live, you would be quite concerned. He looks dead. He's lying on the floor, not moving. Referee's checking him. He's clearly completely unconscious at that point.
I think Jim Ross might be a bad omen.
Possibly, yeah.
He was the commentator for Owen Hart before, wasn't he?
Yeah, so you think it's Jim Ross's fault that Hart died? Is that what you're saying?
I think he should take part of the responsibility, yeah.
So Martha sued the wrong people. When Martha Hart, Owen's widow, sued the makers of the class that failed and WWF, she should have actually sued Jim Ross. Is that your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a separate lawsuit, obviously.
It may as well. Okay, the match has started. So you've got Bobby Lashley reappear. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin are both in here. They're now in Hurt Business, a modern day stable, which I haven't really seen all that much of, but they look the business, those boys, don't they?
Yeah, you don't want to mess with him. Yeah, he obviously fought Sami Zayn at Survivor Series
a couple of days ago. Yeah, US champion.
And I liked that actually because they had the Hurt Business around the side of the ring, but they weren't there to intervene or to hurt Sami Zayn. They were literally there to stop him getting himself disqualified and to stop him getting himself counted out, which was somewhat irrelevant because the belt wasn't even on the line, but they just wanted to beat him properly. So
Bobby Lashley, to me, for some reason, he just never quite managed to put it all together. He looks the absolute business.
He looks the part. That's about it for me.
He can work well. He can do some quality matches. His run as TNA World Champion from a few years ago, I didn't really see much of it, but I've heard it was brilliant. When they actually give him some good stuff to say on the mic, he can deliver it perfectly well. I think he just suffers from the fact that he's got a face like a giant baby. That's the main problem. He doesn't look intimidating, does he? For a man that size.
I'll let you tell him that.
If he came into the room now and threatened to kill me, I think I'd probably laugh.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because he's actually proper tough in real life. He's done some MMA, cage fighting type stuff, and to a reason.
He was supposed to represent USA 2004 Olympics for wrestling. Do you know why he couldn't?
Steroids? Because he's so full of them it was bad to pop?
No, because when he was working in a bank at the time, when he was training for the Olympics,
right?
And there was a bank robbery.
Yeah.
And he had to dive for cover.
Is it true?
Yeah.
Okay.
And damaged his knee. All the ligaments in his knee got damaged.
Right, goodness me. Right? When you started that sentence saying he was working in a bank, I thought you were about to say he was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar.
No, true story, that.
Right, okay, fair enough. Right, Ric Flair climbing the ladder there. Now, Ric Flair climbing stuff never goes well for him, does it? Ever.
No. That's what he's there for, isn't it?
I do remember, I think it must have only been a few months before this. I think it was late. Oh, hello, Matt Hardy's going for the superplex on Flair. I think he hits it now. Superplex from 2 rungs from the top of the ladder.
Whoa.
That is a big bump. Flair landed fairly flat as well. Normally Flair lands on his bumps. He's kind of semi-rolls with them, doesn't he? After he broke his back in a plane crash in 1975, I think it was. He took to landing on a slightly rolling bump on one shoulder.
Yeah.
A slam off the top rope. He doesn't land flat like most people do. He lands one shoulder first.
Right, yeah. Do you know what Ric Flair's birth name was?
Ric Flair? Richard Flair, wherever. Oh no, something else, wasn't he? He was adopted, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was Fred Phillips.
Oh, was it right? Really? Really? Wow. I did not know that. So you've named one of your children after Ric Flair then?
Yeah, I can say that now, can't I?
If you have another son, you could call him Philip.
Yeah. Yeah, Fred, I like that. I think Fred quite likes Ric Flair for the occasional wrestling match that he watches.
The Flair's been taken to the back there. Now, I assume this is entirely kayfabe, but I don't think he's actually injured there. I think they're doing it for storyline purposes. So I was just about to say before, Ric Flair, I think it was late 2005, won the US title from Carlito, if I remember correctly, and he actually successfully hit, I think it was a double axe handle or maybe a crossbody off the top rope. That was kind of the big thing. He'd been getting caught on the top rope for months, if not years. He finally hit the move and wins the title. Okay, Bobby Lashley's got the ladder up now. Now, I do remember who wins this. I'm not going to say, just in case anyone listening doesn't know.
Yeah, I know.
Into this, if you didn't know, who would be a prediction to win this Money in the Bank?
Sorry?
If you're going into this, if you didn't already know, who would be your prediction to win this Money?
Oh, well, probably because it's a ladder match, I'd probably go for Jeff Hardy.
Even though he's not in it?
Matt Hardy.
Yeah, right. Okay. It'd be a brave pick, Jeff Hardy. You'd probably get pretty good odds at the bookies to get a title shot at any point they want. Matt Hardy at this point, given a world title shot? Really?
Just for the start. I mean, going into it knowing nothing of this era, just what I know of these people now. Who would you have gone for?
I probably would have picked RVD, knowing that they're going to go for a guaranteed world title shot. I can't really see any of the others getting it. Flair maybe for some sort of one last run, but doesn't win it. RVD's the only one of them at that point who I can see them building to world title level at any point in the next calendar year.
I suppose because I suppose when you're looking at things like that, you're looking at the long term, aren't you? But then again, would you have picked Otis to win it last year?
No. A bit different nowadays, I think. I mean, so many people have won it. You don't automatically win the world title. And I think just with the COVID era, empty arena, I think they just decided to go for something different. I think at this point it was used as a vehicle to get someone up to main event level. This is only the second Money in the Bank ladder match. The previous one, the year before, was the first one, won by Edge, cashed in January 2006 to win the world title from John Cena. And this is the second one.
So do you know what record RVD holds?
The Van Dam lift, splits, and a deadlift out of the splits position.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Well, that's not what I was going for.
Okay. No.
To do with a reign.
A reign? Ooh, longest ECW TV champion?
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah, held that.
700 days.
Yeah. No. He does also have that record for the Van Dam lift. I think he invented it, and he's possibly the only one that can do it. He does full splits across 2 chairs or benches, and then picks a weight up off the floor. And it's a fairly significant weight. I mean, it's like, I don't know, several dozen, 100 kilos, something like that, held up while he's in the splits position.
Wow. Does he do that because of Jean-Claude Van Damme's is famous for doing the splits across 2 chairs?
Well, I think he got the name Rob Van Dam because he looks a little bit like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think the fact that they can both do splits is somewhat coincidental. I think Rob was into martial arts and flexibility and yoga and all that, and found that he could do that.
Yeah, in quite a few of Jean-Claude Van Damme's films, he makes a point of doing splits across chairs.
Who would you pick in a fight? Jean-Claude Van Damme or Rob Van Dam? Winner gets the Van Damme surname.
You have to go for Jean-Claude Van Damme, wouldn't you?
Is Jean-Claude Van Damme actually tough in real life? He might be. I have no idea.
Well, yeah.
He looks like he probably is, and he plays a tough guy in films, but doesn't automatically mean he is tough.
Yeah, I suppose.
Have you ever seen Steven Seagal in the last sort of 10 years or so?
Oh, God, yeah.
He hangs around like UFC fights and stuff like that.
His big polished hair.
I saw an interview with him where he took credit for teaching, I completely forget who it was, but someone who won a fight by punching someone in the head. And apparently Seagal had taught him how to do that. And the commentators said, before you told him what to do, he'd never punched anyone in the head. Not in that way.
Brilliant.
Okay, Bobby Lashley's got the ladder up. Now, that's Bobby Lashley's a big man, but that doesn't seem a very big ladder. Not as big as some of the ones. The Jeff Hardy ladders are always the biggest ones. Like some of the ones in UFC matches are ridiculous. I thought
they're very competent at getting the ladders steady and straight and ready to climb up, are they?
Well, no, but then overall I think they do a pretty good job of not falling off them. I mean, I've fallen off a few ladders in my time, and one of the most nasty-looking bumps I remember seeing off a ladder was Sheamus. I think it was in a Money in the Bank match. I'm not entirely sure. He gets knocked off the ladder sort of falls underneath him, and he lands hip first, I think it is, or possibly arm or shoulder first on the ladder, full weight onto it.
Ouch.
Side of it, indeed. So this Money in the Bank match is won, I'm sure everyone knows this, by Rob Van Dam. Do you know what he then goes on to do with the Money in the Bank contract?
No.
He cashes it in later that year against John Cena. So the first two Money in the Bank cash-ins are both against Cena. Slightly different setup. The first one from January of this year, Edge came out after Cena had taken part in an Elimination Chamber match when he was already beaten down. That summer, WWE were in the process of relaunching the ECW brand. In summer of 2005, they had a one-off reunion show, ECW One Night Stand. Summer of 2006, they did a second show with a view then to relaunching the ECW brand off the back of it. And in the main event of that second One Night Stand pay-per-view from 2006, Van Dam said in advance that he intended to cash in for a title match against John Cena. The show's held at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York, which is one of ECW's old regular haunts. It's definitely worth a watch because you've got a lot of the old ECW sort of hardcore fans in attendance who absolutely hate Cena and absolutely love Van Dam. There's some big crowd heat. Ends with Edge coming in a helmet, I think like a biker's helmet, spearing Cena. Van Dam, I think, gives him the frog splash then to win the title, his first and only WWE title.
Oh.
Van Dam's going for a frog splash now off the very top of the ladder onto, I think that's Finlay on the floor there. Dave Finlay's son, Dave Finlay, is a wrestler nowadays. I don't know if you've heard that.
I think I did read that before, yeah.
Yeah, I met him once.
Where is he then?
Go on.
Where is he, I said?
I think mainly Japan, I think. I met him, so I stopped wrestling on a regular basis in late 2014. I did a few matches in a row, a couple in Sheffield, and then a few around the Northwest. Finished my last actual match in Macclesfield. And then a couple of weeks later, I went down to an all-star show at Hanley in Stoke, just to say, goodbye to some of the lads there that I wrestled with on a regular basis. Didn't wrestle, just, wanted to go and say goodbye. And Dave Finlay was one of the new lads that I'd not met before who was there that night. Seemed a nice guy.
Yeah.
Shelton,
The only WWE belt that Dave Finlay ever held?
US title?
Correct.
Did he beat Lashley for it?
Yes, I think I did read that, actually.
Shelton Benjamin did a springboard there off the ropes, full out of shot actually, didn't see it very well, to land on the ladder that Van Dam was already on. They're then battling on one ladder while Matt Hardy's scaled a second one by the side of them. He's athletic, Shelton Benjamin, too. Got some good jump on him.
The only man to ever win tag team gold with who? Shelton Benjamin
was. Well, he won it with Charlie Haas. Did Charlie Haas win it with anyone else?
It's not Charlie Haas.
I think Van Damme's about to win. Van Damme has won already. Right, so Shelton Benjamin, tag team gold. So
it's someone who famously, you generally wouldn't expect to see in a team.
So it's right. His partner is the only time that person has won a tag title.
Correct.
I can't think, to be honest, I don't know.
No clue?
Go on then, yeah.
It was the OVW Southern Tag Team Championship in 2001.
Lesnar.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking you meant WWE. Yeah, he was in the tag team. The Minnesota Wrecking Crew, was that right?
Say again.
Minnesota Wrecking Crew, is that what they're called?
That sounds good enough, yeah.
The second or possibly third incarnation of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, the original, I think, was Ole and Arn Anderson. You'll be familiar with Arn Anderson.
Yes.
I think they were known as the Minnesota Wrecking Crew in probably the early 80s. So Van Damme has won already. Now, I have mentioned the other day to you, Lee, I sent a message. I found when I was reading the kids some stories, this copy here of the greatest 100 matches in WWE history. Now, it's not very, well researched because they haven't got this Money in the Bank match in it.
I don't know what they're talking about then, do they?
What we're talking about. It's a bit of a shame that I only just thought about looking at this actually, because there are a few of the matches. I mean, there'll still be some there that we haven't covered yet. But there's a few of them in there already that could have referred back to.
I reckon, well, other than the Trish and Lita one, I'm assuming the rest of what we've got lined up will be in there.
I think the Trish and Lita one probably is, to be honest. I think that's generally acknowledged as being, there we go. Found it straight away, just jumped out on me. Trish Stratus versus Lita, September 17th, 2006. And then, funnily enough, the very first one in here is Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat at WrestleMania 3. So we've got at least, we've got Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair there. But yeah, not this Money in the Bank one, unfortunately. But we managed to get Flair in there anyway, that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And it was only a short one.
Yeah. You got any other quiz questions for me?
Matt Hardy. Which of these names did he not ever wrestle under? Wolverine, Lightning, High Voltage, or Surge?
I think so go through them again.
Wolverine, Lightning, High Voltage, Surge.
I think Jeff Hardy did one of them, his brother Jeff. Did Jeff do Wolverine and Matt did the other three?
Is that your answer?
Go on then, but I'm not sure about it.
The one name he didn't wrestle under was Lightning.
Right, yeah, that probably didn't sound all that familiar, to be honest. But interviewing Randy Orton here now, if I remember correctly. Is this the year that he faces The Undertaker? Possibly, I'm not sure. Oh, no, it's not. He's defending the world title. He is world champion going into this, defending against Rey Mysterio and Kurt Angle, putting the belt on Rey Mysterio for the first time as a bit of a follow-up to the storyline that came off the back of Eddie Guerrero dying the previous November.
Yeah.
Not the best received storyline ever, to be honest. Right, let's have a look then. Are we thinking Trish Lita next or something like that?
Yeah.
We need to have a space before we put in the TLC match because we don't want to have another ladder match straight away. So Trish and Lita next.
Yeah, and then the obviously those amazing matches to finish, haven't we?
We've got a big run in there. So after Trish and Lita, we've got Bret Hart, Steve Austin. We've got TLC 2. We've got Cena, Punk, and Ricky Steamboat, Randy Savage. Wow.
What a run in.
Picking up some pace. This card is like they started off okay. Being some good matches in there, but you've got 4 absolute bangers after that. And Trish and Lita as well. So 5 quality matches there. Arguably 5 of the best matches of all time.
Some full bladders in our virtual stadium.
True, yeah. Well, we can get more people in our virtual stadium now, can't we, with the relaxation of the rules?
There you go.
Yeah. Well, infinite number of people in. Speaking of which, it'd be nice to get more people listening. I've been checking the viewing figures, the listening figures even, and whilst, it's great some people are listening, it'd be nice to hear from those that are listening. Feel free to comment either on YouTube. I did get a spam comment on the YouTube video the other day. I can't remember what it said, but it was something like sexy or something random like that. Obviously just one of these random comments that are just all...
I don't know.
Well, it could be that. It wasn't the word sexy, it was something very similar. If you enjoy this, guys, comment on the videos on YouTube, on the Facebook page, etc. Tell any friends and so on. We are maintaining listening figures, so those that have been listening to the last 4 or 5 episodes seem to be continuing to listen to them. So we hope you're enjoying them, guys. And that's it for episode 10. We'll see you next week for episode 11.